Hello, I'm Ethan Chase, and a New York City-based small business growth coach. And today I'm excited to share with you some of my proven strategies that I coach professionals on how to network from the perspective of building meaningful relationships. So, what do we have happening today? We have a batshit crazy business environment that's chock full of chaos and fear and uncertainty. Well, given those guidelines or those circumstances in which we're all conducting business, it makes more sense now more so than ever to, instead of going from event to event to event, to slowing down, having a formal strategy, and then when you show up to events and you meet people, to be there authentically and from a meaningful perspective of adding value by serving others. So let's talk about that. What do we understand? We understand that networking is a de facto necessary evil in any business climate. But what we also understand, or should understand, going into the strategy of networking is that it's a precursor, first step to cultivating relationships. So therefore, we want to be very intentional about an effective utilization of time, effort, and resource invested. In other words, don't just go from event to event to event. Don't just schedule time to meet with person after person after person, but be methodical and strategic about how we maximize the networking activity to help us cultivate those valuable relationships that are built on mutual benefit, trust. So almost as if we were thinking about mutual symbiosis. Okay. So here's how I coach my clients. Think about the organizations you belong to from a monetary perspective. This is part of or a line item that's extracted from your annual marketing budget. It's called networking, or you can think of it as organization affiliations and memberships. And how do you track the ROI, the return on your networking investment? So think about how much you make in a year. That's right. Take your annual revenue that you've made, divide by 2,000 hours. So where do I get that from? Let's just assume you work all but 2 weeks of the year and you take those 2 weeks off for vacation. That's 50 weeks, 40 hours a week. That's 2,000 hours. You divide your annual revenue by that 2,000 threshold, and that's how much an hour of your time is worth. So now you think about the organization that you're interested in joining or having employees in your organization join. Think about all the costs associated with membership, annual dues, meeting fees, travel, transportation. You aggregate a total spend for membership in that organization. Then you think about your hourly cost for yourself. Remember that annual salary divided by 2,000, an hour of cost that it takes you to invest in these organizations. And then once you tally up the total cost, and I'm just working across this spreadsheet that I've developed for my clients, you think about the number of business clients, the number of clients gained from that organization, and you then learn the total cost divided by the actual clients gained. That's the cost per business client generated through that networking organization. And then you take all the revenue from that gained client in that organization, and that's the revenue gained through that networking source or that organization's referral. Next up, next up, think about your internal SWOT analysis. And I am DISC certified, which is a personality assessment tool, but there's Myers-Briggs, Strong, Berkman, Kersey. There's a whole bunch of different personality assessment tools. Regardless of which one you do a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats of your internal behaviors, characteristics, qualities, or traits. These are the characteristics, qualities, and traits you're looking for in other people who would be very meaningful, either clients of yours, but for referral-based networking, also the strengths, weaknesses of other people who are ideal connections for business referral partnerships. So you'll get a sense of this just organically when you think about the people that you've tended to in the recent past, the last year or two, build really strong relationships with. It's critically important for understanding those people who you work most effectively with. Okay, what we're talking about at the core, at the heart of an effective networking to build relationship strategy is building a Rolodex with specific intent on maximizing the people that you're most capable, interested in, and excited about serving, because you are a servant master, and also the people that you work best with in terms of cultivating business leads for yourself. Very powerful. So what I'll typically do, and I hope this is valuable to you, is we do a snapshot or a whiteboard of all of the attributes of an ideal relationship partner. So who is your either client or business referral avatar? Think about their goals and values. What do they look to accomplish from their networking? Those are the goals. What are the values that they hold dear? What's important to them? Is it faith? Is it family? Is it commitment to serving the community? Those are the values. And that's on the top left of what you're looking at. Then in the middle is the personal characteristics. Let me just say this. Most Americans don't spend enough time caring about a relationship the way other cultures do. For example, Asians, Latinos, they need to learn about the personal side of you and share who they are. So you do that too. Be more empathetic to learning about people's backgrounds and what makes them unique. Then we look at the challenges that they face. What are their pain points? What keeps her up at night? What are his hopes, dreams, fears, desires? Is he looking to transition into retirement? Does she want to pursue a second career or a side hustle in teaching? Those are the challenges and the pain points. Now we talk about the relationship as a sales process. I try not to encourage my clients to think of every connection as a transaction, like every person they meet is a sales register with limbs. But when we're building out business, we have to understand the objections that people may present to you in working together. And then you want to certainly overcome those objections. So what is their role in the purchase process? So if you're talking to somebody who's a solo practitioner, they're the influencer, the user, the decision maker. They have budgetary approval. They own all of the roles in that relationship you have with them. And if you're talking to somebody who's part of an organization, they have a formal process in decision making. So understand what the process is, who the actors are, what their roles are. Now we go to the professional considerations of that individual. What organization do they belong to? What's their occupation? How much annual income, salary, education? So we're learning the personal and the professional aspects of what makes them a total human being. And then the sources of information are, where does she go or he or they go to get information on the industry or sector or maybe multiple industries that they do business in? What books do they read? What webinars do they attend? Affiliations, memberships, certifications? Who influenced them? So we want to create a composite sketch of your ideal client or business referral partner. So think about, from the perspective of the person that you're building this amazing relationship with, once you move past the networking, which is the initial introductory phase, and you're having multiple meetings with them, as I said, the job description, what their roles and responsibilities are, their key challenges, what keeps them up at night, what are their hopes, fears, dreams, desires, Where have they worked in the past that has had an impact on them? With associations, affiliations, memberships? Who's their ideal connection? This is what you do with empathy and intent when you're cultivating very strategically meaningful relationships that have a multiplier effect. And what I mean by that is, what do you gain from the relationship with them? What do they gain? And how do you work together to benefit other people? Where do they go? What events do they attend? What are their credentials? Where do they hang out? Personally, socially, professionally? What are their interests, hobbies, passions? I love this one in particular because it creates humanistic connection. And that's what we're all starved for, especially right now. We're looking for meaningful relationships. We're not necessarily interested in going from event to event to event. And I call it molecule wars, bouncing off of other human beings. Some people like that. Some people like to meet new people. But for benefit of growing your business with intent, networking is a strategic initiative to get you more likely, maximize the likelihood of you being in front of other people who can create mutually beneficial relationships. Be of value, be of service. So it's not what can you get out of the relationship. Ultimately, you will ask other people for referrals, introductions, but to get to that point requires something called trust. And to build trust, you have to connect with people. That's the first stage. And I love Clayton Hicks at H7 Networks has his own framework where he talks about connecting with people by serving them. And then once you do that, you're in a stronger position to ask with intent for meaningful introductions or guidance. You can even start your own group. It's very easy. Many people are realizing this. I've been doing for a few years a mastermind style peer advisory group, which started as a networking group and I've cultivated into a Vistage kind of model. But start your own group. The goodness sakes, there's Meetup, which is a tool, a platform to use, Eventbrite. There are all these resources to create a group of people. I recently, being back in New York City, joined a group formed by this guy, Mark Green, where it's called Walking Talking Men. For men meeting other men and going for walks in Central Park. It's a way to think about being indispensable. That's what you want to think about. Okay, now here we go. Networking choreographed is a performance, and it's a very, very clearly defined process. It's a four-step process that I've developed. So the first is you're going to meet people, right? It's called kissing a lot of frogs. And sometimes the frogs turn into princesses or princes. Sometimes they just remain frogs. Statistically speaking, not every person you ever meet, and you know this, is going to become a trusted business referral partner. Some are going to remain frogs, but some are going to be converted from networking to relationship building into princes. So here's we go. The first is define what your business goals are and how networking plays a part in cultivating new business. Then develop your own personal bio. So that client avatar or ideal referral partner snapshot I showed you before, and those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, you develop those into your own professional bio as well. Then, through research, you identify who your ideal business referral partner is, your strategic business connection for networking, and also who your ideal client is. You do the research. Think about somebody you already cultivated a great relationship with. Emulate them as a framework, as a model, as an ideal referral partner. And then you'll have an ideal relationship connection profile. So that's the process. Now, you do your online research, you find these events, these shows, these group meetings, and you look at who the attendees are, and you match those to your ideal business referral partner profile. And now you're starting to think, if I go to that meeting, there will be people in the room, so to speak, virtual or in person, who match my ideal business referral profile. Great. Think some more about their backgrounds. Where'd they matriculate from, undergraduate to graduate? What alumni organizations, professional associations memberships, what events, trade shows, conferences do they attend? Check out their LinkedIn profile. The complete totality often has a lot of detail. Go to their website if they have one. Look at their social media profiles. Now you're ready. You have this incredibly robust strategic plan of an ideal referral partner in those groups or organizations. Okay? Invite these individuals that are going to attend the events that you're scheduled to attend, invite them to connect with you before the event. Customize an invite. That's why you're going to need to have, because LinkedIn limits the number of invitations you send out every month. You're going to have the premium, the paid version of LinkedIn, not the free version. And you're going to send these people on an ongoing basis customized introductions to connect with you before the event. Okay. So now you go to the event and you're there. And remember, you're not going to talk to everybody equally. Think about the math involved, just logistics of attending events. Think about it. You've got 60 minutes, let's say, in an average meeting, virtual or in person, doesn't matter. How much time do you think you actually have to spend with each person? If you spend 5 minutes with a person, you have maybe 12 minutes each. But the reality is it's going to be even less than that with the mingling and all the other things that happen at events. You really only have a few minutes with each person. And so therefore, you want to walk into the room knowing the people who are going to be there that you've already connected with, that you're going to have a little bit of almost an informal, concise, condensed one-on-one. So I've come up with a 521 rule, and then that's your elevator pitch immersed into that initial conversation. In the first 5 seconds, you want to say something so compelling that it captures their attention. So what does that sound like? I'll tell you mine. I do two things. I do employee training and development to help small to mid-sized businesses unleash their people's untapped potential. And I do that through creating cultures, amazing workplace cultures. So here's a 5 second. Hi, I'm Ethan. I thrive on helping organizations unleash their people's untapped potential for great workplace culture. That's a initial, what do you do? When they ask you, what do you do? That's a consolidated, concise tagline of impactful statement about who you are, what you do. The two in the 521 is expanding upon what you just said in the intro, those 5 seconds. They'll say, oh, wow, that's interesting, Ethan. How do you do that? You say, well, you know what? I really love to help organizations to increase their people's performance and productivity, which has a positive impact on profitability. In other words, I help unleash their employee ROI. That's the two in the 521. And the one in the 521 is the goal of scheduling time as you see fit. Once you're meeting these people at this group meeting, that you're going to have a follow-up with. The goal is the follow-up. There, you've done that, right? So now you have the post-event is the follow-up. And the onus of responsibility, I always believe, falls on you. If you're reaching out to somebody to build that relationship, you send them your calendar, you find a time, and you schedule the video conference or the meeting by suggesting a place that's equally distant between the both of you. So the next steps, you're learning about each other. Let me be very specific about this. That one-to-one follow-up is not a sales call. And many people just go automatically into selling mode. What the hell is wrong with you? No. And then I often, if I feel like the conversation is fruitful from both of our perspectives, send a thank you, just a very quick email or even a text. I am very specific. The people who I really enjoyed and believe that there's that opportunity to have a meaningful relationship, I'll send them a thank you card. Why not? I put my business card in. It's very simple. You send them a business card. I even have mine. Yes, business cards still matter. I have all my contact details on the card. It's glossy. I utilize the back by having pictures of myself doing training events. And I say what I do, motivational speaker, coach, trainer, business consultant, but that's on the back, that's on the front, it goes in the thank you card. Boom, easy peasy. So I hope you found this to be valuable. Networking is not a human term. Think about it. The word networking comes from connecting computers together, and it was kind of a World War II, Cold War mindset. If Russia launched an ICBM and knocked out New York, well, you'd still have Chicago and LA and other city network systems, data centers interconnected. Networking is an impersonal act, is my point. You want to get as a goal from networking to relationship cultivation. So if you want to learn more, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn Ethan Chazen. Email me at Ethan@the Group. Send me a text on my cell phone number and just get better acquainted. Go to my YouTube channel. If you like this video, I've created over 680 other videos for ideas, insights, inspiration on your business growth success. So thank you so much for hopping in today and attending what I hope is it's very, very quick and easy, down and dirty networking to build relationships. Reach out to me. If you like this video, hit the like button, smash subscribe, sign up for my YouTube channel. It really helps to support the work that I'm doing. Thank you so much. And here's to your business success in the future. Take care.